That's always been my goal since I started. Goal is not such a great word, I guess. So it's sort of been my obsession was to make records that had the feeling of the blues, the spirit of them, I think you said, but without being what we would consider to be traditional blues, 12 bar band blues, which is boring, outdated mode, um, and I'm not interested in it. But I am interested in the real feelings behind it, and but musically, I'm more into say like avant-garde rock music or noise bands like Scratch Acid or Sonic Youth or Butthole Surfers, stuff like that. My music seems tame in comparison for the most part, but really it was something I wanted to do was take elements of that kind of stuff and infuse it with the spirit of the blues, for lack of a better term. Sure. I mean, there's bands come along every day that inspire me. I'm lucky enough to be part of, some bands that do that for me. Um, I get to play on the Twilight Singers records from time to time, and Greg Dooley, who I also have a band with, the Gutter Twins, is a huge influence on me, uh, and I also get excited when his records come out, whether I'm on them or not. Um, Queens of the Stone Age, which I think is the greatest rock band, in the world. I just happen to be part of it. So, but they're a huge influence on me, individually and collectively. The band is an influence on me. Uh, I don't think it changed the methods that I use to make these records, because I use a pretty particular method of making these records, which is probably closer to the way the Desert Sessions records are made, um, than what we would normally do making a record. But it definitely has influenced the end result. It gave me. I thought I was through making, for lack of a better term, rock records. Um, when in '97 or whatever, whenever I left the trees, but Josh had other plans. So, and I'm glad that he did, because my love for the Queens and my involvement with the Queens made me want to continue making rock records. And that's why I'm still sitting here talking to you guys, is because luckily I was smart enough to shut up and do it. No, there's people that I knew already, and knew as people and became friendly with first, before music was ever sort of brought up, or we obviously know each other because we are in the same circles. We do the same thing. We all play music, and so we end up being at the same place at the same time. But friends first, and collaborators second. That's always been the way with me. The way that I make these records, like I said, it's much like Josh makes the Desert Session records. Difference being, the people who do the Desert Sessions often don't know each other before they get there, whereas the people who work with me do know each other. But uh, the thing that they do is they are handed a song, and you're asked, well, what will you do with the song? What do you hear here? And you roll tape, and they do whatever they're going to do. And that's the way I make these solo records, and that's why I started making them in the first place, is because that spirit of spontaneity was the antithesis of how I made records with the Screaming Trees. And I made those records with the Screaming Trees not by choice, but by design. That was just the way we did it. And I wanted to make records a different way. I wanted to have fun doing it, and I wanted to do it with my friends. And so one way that I did that was, for instance, if somebody was if a friend of mine was a great guitar player like Jay Mascis, I would say, Jay, will you come play on my record? But will you play drums? You know. And so that's the way I would get these people to come make these records for me. And there's something special happens when a great guitar player comes and plays drums. Um, it's been, I mean, I've done it time and time again. It started with Mascis. I've had Tad Doyle play drums, who's known as a guitar player. Duff McKagan has played drums on a couple of my records. Josh Homme played drums on most of my new record because he's a great drummer in his stiff guitar playing way, you know what I mean? I myself was a drummer before I was a singer, so that's the way I really get them to come in and do it. And that's why they have sort of a ramshackle feel to them, because people are playing their second or third, or maybe for the first time they're playing a different instrument, which is how I kind of bribe these people into coming and playing on my records. I try and make it seem like it'll be fun. That's it. Yeah, we have another band. Twilight Singers is Greg's band that I get to play with sometimes. You know what I mean? But the Gutter Twins is our band together, and we're, I would say, well, he would probably say we're 75% done with the record. I might say we're about 50% done with the record because I like working slower. But we hope to have the Gutter Twins record done by the end of February. Right. Gutter Twins record is already more than halfway done, probably. It's pretty dark in spots. It's also very beautiful in places. There's like some of the singing that Greg does on the record is mind-boggling. I mean, it's just so beautiful. It's some of the coolest stuff I've ever been involved in, and also some of like the most has a depth to it. It's without sounding corny, because Greg is he's my best friend, you know, and because we have like written songs together and done stuff like that over the years, but never ever done anything with him. You know, we played on each other's records and stuff, but now we're really writing songs together and doing it in a way that neither one of us had ever done it before. So the results don't sound like anything either one of us has ever done. And from the start, it was almost kind of scary at how powerful it was and how much of a representation it was of really our relationship, you know what I mean, without sounding faggy. No, but that's, you know, that's when I end up making it. So, you know, that's when I write this stuff usually. And that's, to be honest with you, like a bat, that's when I'm awake. So I'm not surprised it sounds like that because that's when I usually live my life, is at night. I don't, excuse me, I don't really try because to me the live experience and a studio record are two different things, and you can never kind of reconcile the two, and I wouldn't even try. I mean, in the past, my records were predominantly acoustic-based records, but I've always toured with a rock band, which some people get unhappy when they come to see me because it's electric guitars, and they're like, well, how come there's not somebody, you know, where's Bob Denver? um, no offense, but you know what I'm saying? I see them as two different experiences, and I try my best to recreate the mood of certain songs, but rarely are you going to hear an acoustic guitar, at least during this tour. In fact, I think you're never going to hear one unless all my electric guitars break and somebody throws an acoustic guitar on stage. You know what I'm saying? So we play these quieter songs, but we play them in a different way. I think that that would be ridiculous and undignified. So of course, yes, I can. No, I can't even see myself doing it tonight, but I am. So, you know what I mean? suddenly you wake up and you're old. I don't know how it happens. So I can't imagine living another 20 years. I think that it would have to be painful if it happens. But if it does, yeah, I'll probably be one of those dumbasses that still tries to rock.